Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about intermittent fasting and hypoglycemia, okay? Now I know there's certain conditions of hypoglycemia where you need to consume some glucose or you're going to die because your blood sugars are below 50. I'm not talking about that situation. I'm talking about the situation where your blood sugar is low, let's say it's like 70 or it's even normal, and you have the symptoms of hypoglycemia, which is kind of called subclinical hypoglycemia, where you don't really fit the mold, but you definitely have a lot of the symptoms. Okay, well, let's just cover the symptoms first. You have eating food makes you feel better, okay? Headaches, excessive hunger, can't go from one meal to the next without feeling shaky or moody or fainting, fatigue, weak, irritable, nervous, lightheadedness. Those are all symptoms of hypoglycemia. This blows me away. Like the medical treatment for this, if you look it up, basically they tell you to consume 14 to 25 grams of sugar, okay? That's kind of like recommending or giving an alcoholic who's on the rebound some alcohol, some tequila, right? That's the same order of magnitude, because you're basically, guy's going to feel good, but then he's going to get worse, right? The same thing with this. If you cannot fix hypoglycemia with giving the person sugar, you're going to just keep them going, because as soon as the insulin spikes, then the sugar crashes. So what happens, what causes hypoglycemia is an overreaction of insulin, where the insulin goes too high. Maybe you consumed a lot of sugar in one meal. You're going to create a real big spike in that insulin, and then the sugars are going to come crashing down, okay? There's other causes too. Like, let's say you're diabetic and you're taking insulin. You can create hypoglycemia because you took too much. Or you're type 2 and you're taking a metformin, which you're taking too much, and it ends up too low. If that's the situation, if you are doing a ketogenic diet or you're not doing a ketogenic diet, or you're doing intermittent fasting and you're on medication, you're diabetic, and it ends up going low, what that means is you are taking too much. You have to back off that medication, get with your doctor, because you don't want it to go too low. Typically, a lot of times doctors will ignore the fact, and they'll send you home with a little thing of glucose pills where you can keep raising it. That worsens the situation. You want to kind of adjust it so it doesn't go too low. So the goal over time is to decrease the need for medication to keep your sugars around normal. So it's not too low, not too high, just perfect. So what causes hypoglycemia is basically too much insulin, okay? That's usually high insulin. That comes from sugars, refined carbs, hidden sugars as breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, muffins, and then we got the juice, we got the alcohol, hidden MSG, all these other things. That's one cause. Number two is low glycogen. What does that mean? Your body stores glucose as glycogen. They're a little bunch of glucose molecules strung together with potassium. You need potassium to store glycogen, by the way. So in your liver, for example, in the muscles, when you store the sugar, if you don't have enough potassium, you could end up with a hypoglycemic reaction, low blood sugar, because you're not holding or you're not storing the sugar properly. Or let's say, for example, you work out intensely, you do a marathon, whatever, and you didn't eat anything, you can end up with low blood sugars because you just tapped out all your glycogen reserve. Or let's say your liver is damaged, fatty liver, cirrhosis of the liver, hepatitis, and you don't have the capacity to store sugar. You might wake up in the middle of the night just completely low blood sugar, headache, starving, whatnot, okay? And then the other cause is insulin resistance, whereby your body has symptoms of low insulin because it's resisting it, yet high insulin because the body, if it senses low, it starts making more. An average person with insulin resistance makes 5 to 7 times more insulin than a normal person. So again, it comes to high insulin. So here you have a situation where it's subclinical, doesn't test always on a blood test, and you have all these symptoms, but it's coming from an insulin problem, and you keep getting tested. They say your blood sugars are normal, but you have all the symptoms. That was my situation. Of course, I was eating every 3 hours and eat the wrong food. So every time you eat, you spike insulin, okay? Every time you eat. So that's what can create insulin resistance, is too frequent of an eating schedule. 6 meals a day. Bad advice. Now, if the adrenals are burnt out, if you have adrenal fatigue and you don't have enough cortisol, that can also affect the sugar, because cortisol turns protein and turns things into sugar very quickly. So again, if you don't have enough cortisol, you can end up with low blood sugars just from that. So there's different causes. Okay, now how do we correct that? I mean, it's almost like, how are you going to do intermittent fasting if you're hypoglycemic? Well, you can't go for many hours without feeling all these symptoms. So the first thing you have to do is you have to give up sugar. You have to get rid of the sugar and refined carbs, okay? Number one, that will greatly help you. If you consume protein, by the way, that will also increase your blood sugars and you'll feel a little better from that. But you have to cut out the sugar, number one. Number two, you don't go to intermittent fasting right away. You have to do it on a gradient, slowly, okay? So the first thing you do is, if you're at 6 meals a day, go to 5 meals a day, okay? Then go to 4 meals a day. And then don't eat any sugar. And then 3 meals a day, no snacking. Add more fat at the meal to go longer. Make sure your potassium is high. A lot of vegetables are necessary to fix this, okay? And then you eventually go, when you wake up in the morning, you can go longer and longer before you're hungry. Okay, that means it's all healing up, it's improving, you're becoming less hypoglycemic, to the point where now you can get up and, just like myself, I didn't eat until it was 12, okay, 12 o'clock at noon. So basically the first meal, I ate, and then I won't eat until it's like 4:30, and then I'm done for the day. But that is intermittent fasting. That will actually correct hypoglycemia. Now, again, if you start to do this too fast, you can end up with symptoms if you're a true hypoglycemic. If you don't have blood sugar problems, you can do it faster. But the point is, we need to do this to correct this, and we need to give up the sugar. All right? Thanks for watching. I just wanted to take a moment out to thank you for your amazing feedback that you guys are giving me. It's just mind-blowing. The successes, the wins. I created a link down below so you can actually type out your full success story. And if you have a before and after with weight loss, that would be awesome. And if you don't have a success with weight but other things, just put an image of yourself and your personal success story. And I would love to read it and also share it with others. So I want to just thank you in advance for doing that, but there's a link down below. Fill it out, and I can't wait to read it.